Hey guys, this is your inspirational nurse _RN. Tiara comes to you live with another great video. And my name is Tiara for those who are new to my channel, and for those who's been with me from the beginning, welcome everyone. This channel is to inspire everyone, whether you have experience in the field or do not, or desire to be in the healthcare system, or as a nurse or non as a nurse. This is for everyone, don't matter your background. So today's video is super special. It's how to be a leader in a crooked healthcare system. Now, today's video was inspired by God for me to speak on, because for those who don't know, I am a leader, whether it's in the spiritual realm or physically. I always have been in leadership position, but the funny part about being a leader is not every person who is supposed to be a leader actually desire to want to be a leader. I know it doesn't make sense, but for me, my experience was I was pushed into leadership and did not desire to be a leader, or did not see myself in a leadership position. Now, as we know, as healthcare workers, the healthcare system is very crooked and very cruel. You will experience its ups and downs. It is a non-perfect system. And I think that's why God is opening up opportunities for people to get into the field, especially those that are desired to be there and those that's purposely supposed to be there. Because some people, work their way up and get into the healthcare system, and some people are purposely supposed to be called to the system. I was purposely called to the healthcare system. It wasn't something that I initially started out to do. Didn't really know what I wanted to do as a college student. I must have changed my major probably like 50 times. Your girl had identity issues. I did not know which direction to go. I felt lost. But God has directed me to this system. And in nursing school, they do not teach you about the healthcare system, how it's influenced, who's calling the shots, who's making these policies and laws, and everything. The way healthcare is going right now in this system, especially being a nurse, it is really hard, because right now seeing nurses going to jail, like, it's really scary, and it just makes you double think everything. You go through so much in the system. You try to provide the best care for your patients, and the healthcare system influences how you provide that care. Now, in nursing school, I wish they prepared you a little bit better and maybe set a more realistic visual on what this healthcare system is like before you put your license in it and start practicing as a provider, as a healthcare provider in the system. Now, I know that was a bit much, but really, healthcare system that we're in, guys, y'all already know. There was times that I lost it because maybe the price of things, right? Medication cost, surgeries, and different things that my patient might need, couldn't get it. Even to the point where some hospitals, like certain providers, won't even see certain patients if they know, like, they don't have certain coverages, or they're in certain predicaments. Like, not everybody wants to be in a bad predicament, right? People want to do better. Like, they want more out of life. Majority of the time, sometimes they just get put in these bad situations, or, we're human. But I learned quickly as a healthcare provider that this system is not a perfect system. It's not a system where you can just practice freely and do what you want to do, and there's no impact. You start to learn about healthcare, the real healthcare system, once you get involved 100%, put your heart into it, and you'll see, like, the outcome of what's going on. Of course, you have the government, you have the White House, you have people up above that is influencing these laws. And it's extremely important. Like, I teach my kids now to go ahead and get out there and vote. Now, in order to be a leader in this system, healthcare system, you have to make sure that whatever you're doing in this healthcare system, that you're supposed to be there. Like, whatever position that may be in location, you are supposed to be there. God wants you there. Do not be driven by your own understanding. Do not be driven by monetary values. In order to be a leader in an imperfect healthcare system, you have to not be easily influenced by others. You have to be able to be firm on your decisions and on the things that you do when you know you're doing the right thing. There's tons of times that I have done the right thing and I have been crucified for doing the right thing. And it's extremely sad because it's like, I'm just doing the right thing. But what does that mean, right? So I quickly learned as I was navigating through the system that especially being in leadership in a non-perfect healthcare system, it is extremely, extremely hard because you may have a certain mindset and mission on and things that you want to provide to your patients, but the organization you may be in or the company you may be working for does not match your mission and your vision and your values and your morals. When you start to job seeking in the healthcare system, you need to really, really dig deep. And I know sometimes because of the economy, other things contribute to your decisions on picking jobs in this system. But really, guys, you guys need to dig. Like I try to dig the mission and the values and the policies and who's calling the shots and the way that the company is structured. Who makes the decisions, who makes the final say, how would that impact my role coming into this healthcare system? And how am I going to be able to still provide care, right? Without sacrificing my morals and values. Now, in nursing school, they briefly talk about knowing your beliefs and values, like as a person, because that will impact how you deal with the emotions of when things are hitting the fan, when you're trying to do something right and your organization is like no, we don't do that. Like your emotions, right? Because you were taught to do the right thing. You were taught as a nursing student, if you went to a really good program, to do the right thing and to this and to that and to be the one like always in trouble or crucified for doing the right thing is hard. Now, in order to continue to be a leader in this healthcare system, it's important to kind of take opportunities to do workshops, take opportunities to do classes online. You want to always continue your learning. I know that sounds like so lame, like because you hear it all the time as a provider in the system, but no matter your role, y'all want to continue your education. You want to continue watching the trends of the healthcare system and what is changing and who's influencing those changes and how things are impacting the little people like us that's working on ground, right? Taking care of these patients, right? And a lot of things influences being able to do that as a leader, right? Now, when I started out as a med-surg nurse, as a new RN out of school, I was like your typical new grad. I was just wanting to be in my bubble, like leave me alone. Like I had experience prior to becoming an RN. So I kind of was like a mid-seasonal kind of nurse, but still very new. And I make sure, even though I had experience, to put myself in a residency program because I always want to place myself where I can develop, whether it has a negative outcome or a positive outcome, I still got something from the experience because that is what's going to help you. Knowledge is everything when you're in a system that is not operating the right way all the time. So if you are very knowledgeable and you meet other, coworkers that know things, and you guys are networking, you're getting things from your educators, it's a great experience. Whether you stay with the organization or you don't, you still got something from it. So it's kind of like going from organization to organization, getting little things from each one, and then kind of making your final stop. If you ever do desire or you find like that thing that you just love, like the hospital that you love or the team or the unit. So for me, again, when I started out as RN, people were pushing me into the leadership position And I did not always want to be in a leadership position at all. I was like, no, like I do not want to. I guess I think in the back of my mind, I always know I would love bedside nursing. So to come away from it was really scary to like, but God was like literally pushing me like in these, like wanting me to be in these formal leadership positions. And I was just like, no, running from it, because not only that, I was still developing to me, but God's timing is always everything. Sometimes God really needs you and he will snatch you from somewhere and put you somewhere, and you have no control of how that goes. You're just going for the ride, and maybe in your mind you're like, I think I still need time, no. God is like, no, I need you. And it has been so many different times where my hospital has tried to put me in a charge nurse position and I turned it down. I got a nurse practitioner position. I turned it down. I just knew that the jobs that were coming my way was not for me. Even though it sounded really good, I knew that this, like the Holy Spirit was leading me, and I felt like, nah, God wanted me out of this, certain organizations. Being a leader in the crooked healthcare system it takes strength. It takes motivation, and for you to be continuously always driven. And you have to always be ready for change, because I feel like all the time, healthcare changes like every freaking second. There's a new way to practice. There's a new way to cut the cost down, right? Because that's always like the main thing. I feel like when I go into different organizations, that's the main thing they talk to you about, is cutting the cost. But they don't understand cutting costs can lead to doing things not always the right way, or skipping a step, or not providing quality care. We're providing care that's cut in order to meet the financial needs of the business, right? So that can impact how you are as a leader. It definitely, your experiences that you have as a nurse can form you into the leader that you will become. And we all are leaders in our own way, but a lot of us are actually called into leadership. And to be a leader in this healthcare system, you need to be very, very consistent. You need to be very like structured and organized and able to keep up with the fast pace, because things in healthcare move very fast. You have to be very open-minded in this healthcare system. Even though this healthcare system can be crooked, when you're open-minded to different people's look on things and your look on things and what is really happening, it definitely opens your eyes up to maybe you like, oh, well, maybe I need to explore this, and see what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Being a leader in this healthcare system, it takes a lot of, you have to be like Popeyes, guys. You got to be really, really, really strong. Not easily bent, but open to change, open into, okay, I know that time is going and we can never go back and redo things. And I know in order for me to get 100% and be the best leader that I can, I have to change my outlook on things, or my perspective on healthcare, period. And what a perfect healthcare system looks like to me. Like, if you can visualize what that is and then compare it to what it is now, you're going to be like, ugh, I feel like being in this healthcare system that we're in now, it brings me down to depression. It crushes my soul to know that this system it's not what it seems, right? Especially when it impacts the patients. It's like, what? Like, I've always been the nurse that been questioning people's policies and didn't know why. I did not even, not say I always didn't know where that came from. Like, I didn't know, like, I had a thing for it. Like, I never knew until I realized, as I started thinking back, like, girl, why are you always caring about who wrote the policy and why this policy haven't been updated since 1940? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know where this came from, but God definitely dropped the gems. And it's just every time my hospital had, or any hospital that I was working in, it had a change. I was like, okay, where's this coming from? And whoever's making changes need to make sure that they get with people that's actually doing the work, that can tell you, okay, this might work, or this may need to be tweaked because of X, Y, and Z factors. They're the ones on the floor. They're the ones touching the patients 24/7. They are in that environment 24/7. Their voice needs to be heard. I feel like healthcare system is like you picking sides, right? It's like I'm either on their side or they're on this side. It's a system that can definitely tear you away from doing your desirable dream job as a nurse working with patients. It will make you hate yourself sometimes, the way the system is set up. I always tell my patients, the bullies are not the nurses and the doctors and the staff. It's the insurances. Like, these insurances, I feel like, I don't even want to get into it. I feel like it's a whole separate video. It just makes me so upset with just everything that contributes to this healthcare system, right? When the patients need something, they can't get it. And the anger and frustration, the funny part about this healthcare system, all the anger and frustrations comes to the nurse. Everything falls on the nurse. Why? When I got tons of families and patients all the time coming to me about things for a provider, and I'm like, why y'all come to the nurses when the plan of care is your provider? You should be having this conversation with your doctor. And I remember being in the hospital and always challenging my providers. When all the providers I work with, they love me now because they know Miss Fleming do not play. I love my providers because I know what each one of them can do. And they be tired. They be working about 2 days straight, 3 days straight sometimes overtime. But they are less and less by the bedside. They don't look at the patients as a human being. And a lot of providers can be very cruel, and it's like they take the human part out of the patient. Like, you should have, and you should have, and you should have. And it's like, we have, okay, so like a patient could be overweight, but there could be so many factors that play a role in why that patient is overweight versus that they eat. I mean, I know I like to eat. Doesn't mean my weight might go up, but it might not. So everybody body and system is set up differently. I had a provider really cruelly get on a patient that is sickle celled and needed her pain medication and was like judged, because of pain medication. Pain medications. There's so much stuff going in this healthcare system that it's the good and it's the bad to it. I mean, everything has a side effect, I feel like, but this system, in order to be a good leader, you really, 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 really got to be in the right place at the right time. I feel like God's timing is everything. I feel like your purpose is everything. When you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, despite of the consequences, God is like, I got you. You just keep doing what I asked you to do. Honor me every day, and I will protect you. And sure enough, I have been through so much in this healthcare system. It'll probably bring you to tears if I tell you half the things that I have been through with just so many different companies and organizations and just different experiences. It is just, you'll probably be like, girl, what? Like, I ain't even gonna say it. There's so many things that I could have done and I didn't. And I think God just placed me in different places to witness like the things that is not so shiny, like the things that's not so good about the system, and the things that take place every single day. Who benefits from the system and who doesn't? Just the judgmental, the categories of putting people in different categories. And like, you have to have a voice in order to be a leader in today's healthcare system. You definitely have to have a voice. You cannot be shy. You have to be very bold about what you're saying and be able to back up your saying with some evidence, right? A lot of times you will get a lot of respect when people know, like, okay, she knows her stuff, right? Knowledge, that's why I said I stay educating myself, because I know that things are not going to change. I mean, things are going to change, right? There's going to be new ways to do surgeries. There's going to be new ways to do things faster and faster and faster, right? Because the more patients I can see, the more this hospital can generate their income, right? Depending if they're private, nonprofit. You need to look into all of these things when you are looking for a job, especially if you're looking for somewhere to be a leader and you want to go into leadership. You need to make sure you are exactly where you're supposed to be, because the enemy is, I mean, people are losing their licenses and jobs and over things that is not even true. People hide behind other people's titles and influence the organization, and they're untouchable. And then when people try to speak up about things that are wrong, they get crucified and they get, retaliated against, which is so sad. And you're like, who put you in leadership? Like, I remember meeting so many people, so many leaders in this healthcare field, that I was like scared to put my license. I told a couple of managers, I would just never put my license with you, like never, not even my life. The energy I can feel, like God gave me this gift. I can feel the energy if it's like dark, or what I mean. And I'm like, and I'm glad I was in places that I was supposed to be at the time, especially as a travel nurse. I feel like as a travel nurse, it kind of gives you a way to work without the really being 100% involved in the healthcare system. Like, you're just basically covering the staff needs from different organizations, without the headaches, right? You're not attached to a unit. You're not attached to a manager. You actually in control of everything. That's the beauty of travel nursing. You get to witness things and you go, oh, I would never done that. And you just have to watch your back 10 times more than the people that work for the organizations. And I think that's why a lot of times people don't want to go into leadership, and they're just like a little nervous. And you got a lot of new grads that just want to jump in, but don't know, but not really protected, right? No one really have their back, or they feel trapped. Like, I have to do this because I want the manager to like me. I remember meeting a new grad, and the manager obviously wasn't feeling me, and I was fine with that, because I knew as a seasonal nurse, I was like, oh, there's some things going on that I wouldn't participate in. And I remember the new grad that I was talking to, she was now, just starting. They put her in this charge nurse position. They was kissing up to her. She was like the unit snitch or whatever. She would run back to the manager, whatever. And she was like, well, at least they like me. And I was just like, never let somebody influence you and how you feel, because deep down she wanted to do a certain unit. She wanted to do a certain specialty in the hospital. So she thought this was going to be her way in. And she didn't even, I was like her go-to for everything. She wanted me to do NG2s for her. And her skills wasn't nowhere near where it should be. And I remember telling her, I said, don't let anybody influence what you want to do in this healthcare system, because it's so important to grow. That's part of being in the system, is to grow, right? Not to stay stuck. And you're like, dang, now I have this relationships and commitment with this manager, but I desire to be in the specialty. And now I feel trapped, and as a new grad, they play with your emotions and your mind and your thoughts, and they try to play each other, like different new grads against new grads, and they compare, they try to degrade certain new grads, and because they don't come in strong, with these skill sets, and then people are not training people to be great leaders. Like, in order to be a great leader, you need a foundation. You can't expect people to be in leadership in an imperfect healthcare system without any foundation. And, especially if they're a new nurse, they need something, right? You can't just say, go out there and do this, and do that. That's just part of being a leader. We're not even talking about the full accountability and responsibilities as a leader in healthcare system. Like, it takes time to develop. You will know right off the bat that you will have certain boundaries as a leader. That's another thing. You need to do that in this healthcare system. You need to have boundaries, right? Boundaries is your safe zone. That's what when you be like, as a leader, I will not change a legal document. I will not, whatever, as an example, I will not. That is your safe zone. You need to have healthy boundaries when you are a leader in an imperfect, cruel healthcare system. Because those boundaries, it's going to be your protection. It's letting your employer know that, okay, Ms. Fleming is not going to change somebody's documentation. She's not, because if you lay your boundaries out, it's just kind of like laying your standards out. When you're going on a date, right? You letting the guy know, I will not tolerate this or that. I will not tolerate any disrespect. I will not tolerate. You're kind of laying down your foundation, and you're letting people know what you're not going to do, the lines that you're not going to cross. Because some people feel like in this healthcare system that certain situations pushes them to cross those lines and those boundaries that they have. In order to be liked or whatever, right? There's so many things there's so many wicked things that's taking place in this healthcare system that it is like, I feel like God always had me on my face for the system, like praying for the system. There's so many things that's happening. And then when you find out as a nurse, it's like heartbreaking, because as a nurse, you're a giver, you're a problem solver. This is what you are naturally doing, right? You are a natural leader. So certain situations is gonna make you have some emotional moments where you're gonna be like, God, you called me to this field. You didn't tell me about X, Y, and Z. Like, and God put you on this path for you to experience different things, and sometimes just to witness and be an observer for certain things, so you can see that, and for whatever reason God has for that, right? But being a leader, you have to definitely let people know your boundaries. Make sure you have a voice. Stay firm. Don't be easily influenced. And another thing, be open-minded. Be ready for change, right? Learn the structure, the vision, and the missions for these organizations and companies that you put your leadership skills in. Or always be willing to develop. Another thing is to learn how to communicate and to teach. As a leader, it's important to spread the love. I always call it drop the gems, however you want to say it. Spread the love. Teaching is everything. When you teach people and they can get from you what you're showing them, it's like, it's the most best experience I ever had when I'm teaching somebody and I see that the person got it, and I'm like, oh my God, they got it. It made me feel really good as a nurse. And I've done this several times and didn't know, like, teaching was really my thing. And honestly, when I started out wanting to be a teacher. And my patients go, Ms. Fleming, I got it. Is that all? That's all I got to do in surgery? Like, is this all? Like I told you about the lady that she could have died. She had a 99% blockage, and I put together a toolkit, and I forgot all about the fancy words. And I just said, look, AC filter, while you putting your filter in, and she started answering the questions, and then she was like, oh, is that it? Right? And I just recently spoke to somebody about the GI system and why it's important to give the GI system a break, and why we do a gut rest, or, we don't put any food down, like just certain things. Like, God definitely blessed me with the ability to simplify stuff where people like, wow, okay, like now I get it, because understanding is everything. Just like being in this healthcare system, understanding is everything. Whether when you understand it is right or wrong, at least you understand why it happened, and then it will make you, it would actually be the driving force for where you go next, what your career is going to look like as a leader. You got to have certain characteristics, and I mentioned a few of them. Definitely be out there, as keep up with the trends of healthcare. That is the main thing. What is happening in our system? How is it being impacted? And what is my purpose? And what am I supposed to be doing in this healthcare system? Am I in the right place at the right time? Is my purpose being used in this role, leadership role? Is it adding to me and developing me as a leader? Yes or no? These are questions that you need to ask yourself. Would I work somewhere that believe in this and not that? Why is that? How does cost affect the way that we practice? Why is the insurances doing this? Or who's changing the policies, right? How is this business structured? You need to be asking yourself these questions when you're going into a new role, or you already in a role and you trying to understand why your certain way of doing things, your practices, is influenced by certain people's decisions. And how does that impact the patient? So you want to look at the risk and the benefit of being involved in that. What are you getting out of that? How is this going to impact you as a healthcare provider? And do you see yourself practicing for many years to come? This is always a driving force too, to keep your head leveled. And this is something that you love. You're always going to be seeking knowledge. Ask God to light your flame, your fire, because I feel like some people have the gift of being a leader in a crooked healthcare system, but maybe need a spark, like a push from somebody to say, hey, go ahead and do it. Like, go ahead and you be that voice for millions of healthcare providers that can't speak up. Even your providers, guys, your doctors, your nurse practitioners, your PAs, like, the way they have to do things is like they have to be a robot. Like, pretty much they have to go in, and I so thank God, because I went to pre-med school before I became a nurse. And I'm so grateful that as a nurse, I get to spend more time with my patients. I don't know about you, but I love spending time with my patients face to face, not for 5 seconds, because I see providers are like robots. They come in, okay, up. Meanwhile, the patient's like, I didn't even get to, and I'd be like, I'm so sorry. She's rounding. Like, I remember trying to back the providers up, and, but these providers have to be robots. Can you imagine being a provider, life or death in your hands, and you have to be a robot to be in the system, right? You can't be human, because when you're human, you start to feel things. You start to think things. And then the system's like, you can't think that. You can't feel that, because this is what we're doing, right? It is so hard to be anything in the system, whether you are an MA, medical assistant, you're assistant doctors, whether you are CNA, and you are on the floor. Everybody's job is impacted in the system. We all work in the same system. So we're all impacted differently on different levels. And I feel like the more you level up, the more things that you experience, the more things, the harsh realities happen. And that's why when you meet somebody that's been in the healthcare system for so long, and you be like, what's wrong with them? You will see, because they have been through some things. They have experiences, some realities. And it is like, okay, all right, I had enough, right? And then they land that final job, and they stay there for like the last 10 years or whatever. And they run out of the healthcare system like their butts is on fire, right? I do believe that it can be better, the healthcare system that we have in this country. I get so jealous. I'm an international person where I look at documentaries from all over, like different countries and stuff. And it's so sad, this treatment that other countries get than what we get as Americans. I'd be like, oh, how come we can't do that? Like, I don't like seeing people not eat. I don't know what that's all about. Oh, being homeless, it just bothers me. When I have clean sanitary water or certain things, it's just hard to see people in this country not be able to get especially if they go to the doctor and they don't now, people don't even want to go to the hospital. They're terrified, especially during COVID. People was like coming in with garbage bags on, terrified to come into the hospital. They were thinking we were COVID. We were like, you guys are bringing COVID into our hospital. And the nurses were so happy during COVID that I had visitors for like a good couple of months. We were like, yes, we get to go to be with our patients. And, as a nurse, when you're a nurse, when you're with your patient, it's like the best feeling in the world when you behind closed doors with your patient, providing care. You like, oh, it's just something about it when you're a caregiver and you're with your patients and you're like, oh, this is why I do this. Because you giving back. Like, caregivers are humans that give, but they have to get something in return. They have to be recharged. They have to get something back from the company. That's why appreciation is everything. Do not use your leaders and use them. And then you have nobody in these positions and you always got staffing issues. You know why? Because you don't know how to treat your people. You just don't set them up to succeed. And then when they don't meet your expectations, how can you be mad? You didn't set them up to succeed in the organization. But that's a whole other thing. I have seen that so many times. Organizations get away with not training these providers. I had nurses that I had a patient bleeding from a trach. No one had trach experience. I'm on the way down the other side of the daggone hallway. Somebody calls my name, and I'm like, what the God? And I was trying to mind my business, honestly, this time. And I went down there because I'm a team player, right? And no nurse can move. They were all frozen. It was like watching a freaking scene in a movie. And I'm like, whose patient is this? And then one nurse was like, it's mine, but I don't know what to do. I don't have trach experience. When I tell you, I went at the educators and was like, why are we taking these types of patients and caseloads in when our nurses are not set up to succeed? You're failing them. And then they're going to feel like failures. And then they're going to drop out of this nursing thing and this healthcare system when healthcare system needs nurses and needs doctors and needs all these people. You're not setting them up to succeed. You're not teaching them anything. You don't want them to know anything because you feel like, oh, she knows she's going to take off and she's going to run with the knowledge. Whether she stays with the company or move on, that is that person's decision. Your job is when that nurse is by is your responsibility. You're supposed to make sure that they're setting up to be successful. You're supposed to be an example. You're supposed to ensure that so when they do get these people, they have that confidence to be great nurses. You don't want regular original nurses or healthcare workers, because we talk about quality all the time, but we don't give quality. We don't give them a quality experience with the company. It's just like me going to a Marriott versus Hilton hotel, right? Maybe I go to Marriott, my room is dirty, something going on. I check in, I'm like, oh no, this is crazy. Just as an example. But then I go to the Hiltons, 100% better customer service, room is clean, they tell me the times and when stuff is taking place and set me up. So when I check in, I'm good. They gave me quality experience. They represent what that brand is, what that company stands for. You have to give in order to receive. You guys want healthcare workers and leaders to be great at what they do, but in order to have that, you have to give them the quality experience. What does this mean? And then when the younger nurses are all pissed off, because this new generation, y'all, I love them. They're not going to stay. This generation is becoming MPs. They're getting their masters early. They're traveling around the world. They're not going to stay in these traditional organizations and this traditional healthcare system. They're not staying. They're like, no, we're not taking all that. We're not taking on that headache. We're not dealing with you. And we're out. And I respect my new nurses, because the new nurses, they don't got time for that. Now, old school nurse be like, all right, I know you ain't paying me right. I know you don't appreciate nothing I do, but I'm still going to drag on and just be looking a mess. You know how many seasoned nurses I met? They working in a place that they like, I just wound up here. That's not what I wanted to do. But listen to people's desire. If you have people that go into leadership, listen to what they're desiring in that leadership. What does their vision look like? Does it match the company's? Can it match? Can something be changed so it can match? So that quality is met. We talk about it as part of the healthcare system, but I don't think we're giving quality care, because there's things we don't have a quality experiences ourselves in order to give the patients the quality care. That's a whole nother headache, y'all. But I hope this video was super helpful. It's been a hot minute. I'm sorry for the long video. Hope to see you guys on the next one.